Hello, AP Seminar students. Mr. Galusha here, excited to share with you the first part in our three-part series on how to write an EOC A. Today, we're going to take a look at reading for main idea and line of reasoning, the first two things you have to do in the end of course exam part A. Our agenda today is to learn to identify the main idea in a reading and be able to explain the line of reasoning. Why? Well, really, these are two incredibly great things to have in your back pocket when someone asks you to discuss an article, and I don't think more importantly, but maybe more realistically for you immediately, it's going to help you with questions 1 and 2 on the EOCA. Okay. In the EOCA, you're going to be asked to do 3 things. You have to identify the main idea, you have to explain the writer's line of reasoning, and later on in our video series, you'll be asked to evaluate the writer's evidence. We'll get to that. So today we're looking specifically at main idea, identifying it, and explaining the writer's line of reasoning. What is the main idea? The main idea can be defined as the writer's thesis. It may be an argument, it may be an informative message, but I can guarantee you that it will be supported by multiple claims. If you identify a main idea that is only supported by one claim in your EOCA, you are probably ignoring large sections of the source and don't have the full main idea. Stop, backtrack, try to make sure that your main idea is supported by multiple claims. If you have an article whose main idea is only supported by one claim, either you've missed the main idea or you have a bad article. What is line of reasoning? Line of reasoning can sound complicated, but it is not. Line of reasoning is just the logical sequencing, and if you don't like that word, that means the ordering. So line of reasoning is just the logical sequencing of claims that develop a writer's main idea. I like to think of line of reasoning as the order of stops the writer chooses to make along a map. So let's say the main idea is that today is going to be fun. Today was a fun day. Well, my line of reasoning is that I may start with us going fishing. Then I may head over to us going hot air ballooning. And then I'm going to end with us here at a campsite where we will have a campfire. So these were the logical sequencing of claims in order to support my main idea that today was a fun day. Now notice it has to be logical. It has to make sense. So what I should do is go fishing early in the morning when the fish are awake and biting. Then in the middle of the day when it's nice and bright and I can see everything and it's fun, I'm going to go hot air ballooning. And then I'm going to end the night with a campfire at night because campfires go at night, okay? I wouldn't go ahead and start my day with a campfire in the morning and then go over to fish in the middle of the day when all the fish were asleep and I wouldn't get any good fishing in, and then end my day asleep on a hot air balloon. That would not be a logical ordering of these claims. It'd be the same claims, but by jumbling it up, I have now ruined my line of reasoning. Additionally, it has to develop the main idea. It has to support the main idea. So if I tell you we're going to have a fun day, we go fishing, and then instead of hot air ballooning, I hijack the entire day and we go spend 4 hours working in a factory over here. And then we go back to the campsite to have a campfire. And I say, hey, wasn't today fun? You might look at me and be like, well, the first stop was okay. The last stop was okay. But that factory thing had no reason to be in there. So it has to support the main idea. You must be able to do 3 things with every reading in the EOCA: identify the main idea and explain the writer's line of reasoning or the logical sequencing of claims to support that main idea. Now, here are some tips to identify the main idea. First, read the whole article. The main point will be supported by 2 or more claims. It may not be stated in an actual thesis sentence that you can just copy paste. So you need to go beyond that idea of hunting and pecking in the source. So it may or may not be stated there as the thesis, but I'm going to make you 2 promises. It will apply to the whole source, not just a section. So if you have an entire section of your source that has like no relevance to your main idea, you might be off base here. And it will support the writer's purpose. The writer's purpose is what the writer wants the reader, you, to either think or do. And so if the main idea goes against what you think the writer's purpose is, you've also probably identified the main idea. These are good things to do to check to see if you're on the right path. Now, to explain the line of reasoning, what I want you to do is while you're reading, look for movements or shifts in the reading and divide the reading into those sections. See if you can section off the reading by seeing when the author is making a shift. Now, I'm going to give you some keywords in a second to be able to look for those shifts. Ask yourself, as you're seeing those shifts, ask yourself, what was the writer thinking? Why did the writer choose? What decisions did the writer make? Why did the writer choose to do stuff at the beginning? Why did they choose to do this in the middle? And why did they choose to end with this? Be active and try to get into the writer's mindset. Those choices that the writer makes, if you can talk about them, that shows the line of reasoning. I chose to go fishing first because why? Fish are awake early in the morning. I chose to put hot air ballooning in the middle because we could see the most of on the horizon. And I chose to end the day at campfire because campfires at night are a nice ambiance. Now, when you are done, identify the claim in each section, so state that, and explain why the writer chose to order them in this way. Explain how these sections work together to help support that main idea. Connecting words, builds upon, is another example, is similar to. These are going to be important words for you to include here to show their connection. Now, keywords that can signal movement are here. That's available in the slides if you want to take a look at. If you want to start to see those connections that the author is making in their lines of reasoning, look for some of those keywords. Some of those connections can be topics that are similar. The author might choose to sequence their line of reasoning, first, second, and third. Sometimes the author gives you a cause and then an effect, or maybe their line of reasoning establishes a problem and then offers solutions. Okay, these are all examples of how the author might choose to organize their line of reasoning. They might have a few that are similar and then one that contrasts, and you can talk about those relationships between those line of reasonings. Okay, so our first step here would be to look at an article, see if we get the main idea, see if we can then identify those claims and talk about why the author ordered those claims. That would be the line of reasoning. So we're going to give that a shot with an article on the wildfires. This is part 1 of 3, and we will join you next time, part 2, as we give examples for what line of reasoning will look like. Take care, EPSM.